Thank you for tuning in to MacroView Television, and welcome to a brand new edition of the Taiwan Outlook, the program that lets you see the different faces and hear the different voices of Taiwan. I'm your host, Ray Guo. Let's start off today's program with some imagination. Picture yourself out on the sea on a Taiwan manufactured ship or yacht. And do you know some of the best quality ships and yachts are actually manufactured here in Taiwan? And on today's program, we're delighted to have Dr.蔡宗亮, who's currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan, to talk about the state of the yacht industry here on the island. Welcome to the program, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wu.
Yes.
This is my honor to be invited here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here on the program. Dr. Tsai, we're going to start off with a question that since you are the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center, what is the state of the shipbuilding and yacht industry here in Taiwan today? And how many shipbuilders are there? And where are they located throughout the island?
All right, let me start with the number of the builders.
Okay.
Well, there are 36 yacht builders in Taiwan. Can you imagine that?
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Yes.
And the locations, about 10 in the northern part of Taiwan, and 25 pretty much in Tainan and Kaohsiung.
Okay.
And the other one is on Yilan, which is on the east coast.
Okay.
So that's the distribution basically.
Okay.
Now only a few, we have a few quite big builders. They are pretty much international and building big yachts, very luxurious big yachts. For example, we have Jiahong, which is the name brand is called Horizon. Horizon is pretty well known, and also there's another sister company builder is called Ching, and Montefino. You can tell that the name, the brand,
luxury,
the luxury. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the major items that they produce in addition to the luxury liners that you mentioned? Do they build smaller ships as well for individual and family use, or do they do an intermediate size for professional operators?
Sure. The yachts basically is measured by the linear length, which is the length, not by the tonnage.
Okay.
We're talking about the big builders like Jiahong, Jiaxin, they are building the average, the length is about 100 feet, which is about 24. 100 feet is about 30 meters, the length. Very, very luxurious. We're talking about, several $1 million to $10 million, that kind of price range.
Okay. With a ship of the length of 100 feet, how many passengers can you take?
Well, this is basically for the private, for the leisure purpose.
Of course.
It's
not for
professional.
professional.
For professional, not for the professional is different. We're categorized these different type of boats.
Okay.
And we're talking about, for example, we might have 6 cabins, passenger cabins, or 3 to 6, cabins. Okay. If more than 6, land may be categorized as a cruise ship. So it's for the
different standard.
A different standard. Yes.
Okay. What is the total number of ships or yachts that Taiwan produces every year, and what's the total amount of revenue that we can generate in that industry?
Sure, that depends on the years. Okay. Now let's talking about this year. Okay. 2011.
Yes.
Or 2010. Now we're talking about 150 for this year. The number of yachts built.
Okay. Right.
About 1/5 of that is so-called is between 60 feet to 80 feet. All right. Like of a length. All right. And for each vessel, for 100 foot yacht, the cost is about 140. No, it's about $140 million.
Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, it's not. It's not. It's about 104. It's about for each one is 1.4 million dollars.
Okay. All right.
That makes more sense now.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a growing industry, I suppose, especially in a year like last year, when people are coming out of the global financial recession of 2008, 2009.
Right.
And this year, 2011, generally speaking, that will hope the U.S. economy will rebound and the debt crisis in Europe will be over soon, and Asia will continue to be the driving engine of world economy. So supposedly this year is really looking up.
Well, it's picking up, but it's slowly.
Okay.
Basically, the best year is 2008. 2008, is basically is to the peak. That's before the
the financial
crisis.
All right.
And we in Taiwan, we built the output is about 250 yachts.
Oh, okay.
And it's about $400 million total value.
Okay.
Okay. But then, since the financial crisis, it started to decline.
Of course.
And this year is bouncing back a little bit, but still, we're talking about only less than 150 yachts built.
Okay. So still some ways away from the peak that you reached in 2008.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
But the industry itself, like you said, we'll have about 36 builders in Taiwan. But this is a very labor-intensive industry, is it? Or is it something in between?
The yacht manufacturing is in between. It's not like the regular, the ocean-going shipbuilding.
Okay.
And because the yachts, we're talking about luxurious yacht.
Of course.
And it has to be. It's really we target for very high, top-notch, a few percentage, like less than 2% of world population. Mm-hmm. It's in between.
All right. And out of the yachts that we expect to build this year, 150, how much of it is going to be exported? How much is going to stay in Taiwan for domestic, the use?
Well, it's almost 100%.
Oh, really? For export?
To export.
Okay. And what are the major countries of destination?
All right. The United States is still the largest market.
Okay.
I think about 55% of this year it goes to the United States. It's a very large market.
Okay.
Then the Europe. We're talking about the European those countries. Is about 38%.
All right.
So that means United States and Europe is total about the 90% of our yachts produced in Taiwan.
Okay.
Then Japan, Asia, Australia. Those are Asia about 4.9% something. Then Australia is 1.5%.
And we don't export much to China yet.
Well, this year is interesting.
Okay.
We export 5 yachts to China.
Okay.
But so that China now is climbing to maybe number 3, number 4, something.
Okay. All right. We'll talk a little bit about the cross-strait relations a little later in the program. And given the fact that the major market is still in North America and Europe, how do you think the yacht industry, are there plans being put into place to try to diversify? So maybe not putting all the eggs in one basket, and God forbid that we should have another, financial crisis, that the yacht industry will not be impacted that much.
I think the financial crisis is global. Okay, it's global situation. Mm-hmm. And still, we're talking about the market still in the United States is the biggest, the market. Yeah. For example, in the United States, they are quite, it's about 17 million yachts, big and small, in the United States. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, of course, Europe. But Europe, usually the largest yacht manufacturer is Italy. Mm-hmm. And also we're talking about Netherlands, Germany, UK. They're all very big yacht manufacturers. Okay. We do diversify a little bit this year. We target at the Central America and they pick up a few yachts, this leisure marine activities. So we do that, but still, I think the United States and Europe
will remain
the
primary target.
But then we talk about China later. It's potentially
course.
a big market.
Okay, Dr. Tsai, that I went to school at UC Berkeley in the San Francisco Bay Area. I remember during the years when I was a student there, sometimes you drive in around the bay and you see many yachts and ships of different sizes. On a sunny day in the Bay Area, you can see hundreds of them.
Of course.
Sailing, and the wind is picking up, and it's such a beautiful and relaxing scene for many people. The fact remains that for Taiwan shipbuilders, we need to catch the trends.
Right.
On the world market.
Right.
What are the trends that you have been able to pick up, and how have we been able to capitalize on the trends?
Okay, the trend basically, number one is the market.
Of course.
Market to the United States, as you mentioned, the Berkeley, the Bay.
Yes.
San Francisco Bay,
yes.
marinas. Of course, even where I graduated, MIT, is on the East Coast.
Yes.
They're also talking about similar things, the yachts.
Exactly.
Okay. I think it first of all grab the market as the trend, but now in terms of the yachts, we're talking different sizes. Like if we're talking about 70 foot, 80 foot, or let's go over 80 foot is the so-called mech yacht. Okay, 70 to 90 foot, that kind of size. It's getting very popular. It's getting popular, but that still only occupies like less than 10% of overall building of the yachts. But however, the value is is more than 30%, 35% of that because the value, the cost, it's more expensive yachts.
Okay.
But however, if you see that those yachts expensive, not everybody be able to afford that.
Okay.
So therefore, the smaller yachts also, we're talking about 40 foot yachts, even 30 foot yachts, still popular.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. I live in Columbus for many years, for 30 years.
Right.
And my friend has a yacht, and they are big lake, the Buckeye Lake. And in summertime, we just tow the yacht to the lake and have fun, with friends together.
Yes.
So
and
therefore,
that is very popular.
Very popular.
Yes.
So the trend, I think, we have divided into the two different areas. One category, talking about mech yachts, which is 70, 80 foot or above, or 24 meters or above.
Okay.
Then we had another one, which is more for the common people.
Okay, for family
use and so forth.
All right.
So we get
I want to thank Dr. Tsai for giving us that very comprehensive overview of the yacht industry here in Taiwan. And we're going to take a first break on our program. And when we come back, we will continue this conversation with Dr. Tsai, who is currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the second segment of today's program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Wu Ruiguo. We will continue this very interesting conversation with Dr.蔡宗亮, who is currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. Dr. Tsai, we mentioned earlier about the breakthroughs that we see in cross-strait economic relations, especially last year when we signed the ECFA, the so-called Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement with China. It certainly has helped, in terms of the flow of capital and personnel, between the two sides. Therefore, a lot of people are paying attention, to the sea transportation between the two sides. And we've often, came across reports in the news that there were, luxury liners transporting people, mainly Chinese tourists coming to Taiwan, visiting the ports like Taichung, Kaohsiung, and also Keelung, of course. And given the fact that this is going to be another trend that we see, and how would you think that the yacht industry in Taiwan is able to use and capitalize on this trend and try to penetrate into the Chinese market?
Sure. ECFA, at this moment, has not included shipbuilding or yachts yet.
Okay.
But I already got very excited with the ECFA to see the results, from ECFA, the sign of ECFA. As a matter of fact, we believe that the next 20 years, the Chinese market will be the world market because they are changing from the world manufacturer to world market. The Taiwan market usually is small. It's hardly to justify any industry, so if we could, really use the Chinese market the next 20 years to be our domestic market.
Of course.
That will be great. But then how we will link the two together is the fast boat shipping across the street.
Of course.
Now, in terms of the effect on the yachts, at this moment, we don't see any yet. But I believe that because Chinese market is great. Okay. Because the Chinese, for example, the market for leisure marine activities is incredibly fast-growing industry, fast-growing things in China.
Okay.
And the people estimated that there will be 200 billion, the values from this kind of marine leisure industry in China.
Okay. That's not this year, but sometime later.
Later.
Okay. All right.
I know that the Hong Kong, the business people already thinking that how to cash in that $200 billion. But I think this is our opportunity. Yes. We can pass that opportunity.
Okay.
So.
And we understand that ECFA, like you said, it's a tariff reduction scheme at at least in the initial stages.
Right.
And what is the percentage of tariffs that Taiwanese made yacht into the Chinese market that have to pay today?
Okay. The tariff, the Chinese have to pay like 10%.
10%.
But in addition to that,
okay,
we have to pay so-called luxury tax. Okay, so they are the tax in China quite a bit.
Okay.
Okay.
So that makes us less competitive.
Well, but if I sign ECFA, I would assume that if we include the yachts, that may be
on the second early harvest list.
Yeah. Well, but there are also another side of the story.
Okay.
In China, because of the market, the industry, the
potential
is so big. But then their building industry, their manufacturing industry is also growing fast.
Okay. So these are the primary competitors that Taiwan yacht industry will face.
Right.
Okay. And given the fact that we also facing other competition, maybe from shipbuilders in Asia or in America, who are also trying to penetrate the Chinese market. Yeah, how soon do you think, if we, without, including the yacht into the ECFA, early harvest list, how soon will Taiwan face strong challenge and competition from Chinese counterparts?
Well, we should have done that yesterday. Oh, okay. so that means, we should do it immediately.
Okay.
Because
as soon as possible.
That's right, as soon as possible. Yeah, that opportunity we cannot let it go.
Okay.
We're going to discuss that, of course, the pros and cons, of Chinese market and competition from Chinese, industry. But I think we should act on that fast.
Okay. But other than just tariffs, there must be something our yacht industry in Taiwan has been doing, right for all these years, because we are one of the leading yacht manufacturers in the world. So what is the niche for our industry? Is it because of years of experience? Is it because of technology? Is it because of the ships we build have earned the reputation that they deserve?
Yes.
It's a combination of these factors.
They all accountable.
Okay.
And for example,
Taiwan
started this yacht building 40 years ago.
Yes.
We have been maybe more than 40 years ago. Okay.
It's been a long time.
Then it went through up and downs. But then since 2001, really we have changed the strategy to build, so-called luxury, the mega yacht, the big yachts for export purpose. Okay. I think the reason why we are very competitive in the market is because the craftsmanship. And also the workmanship. And also there's another thing, is the customization. So that means we can, whatever the luxury yachts, The owners, they're very picky.
Of course, yes.
Because they pay a big bucks, and they are very, very concerned with all the details. Yes. But all yacht industries, we can accommodate all the requests, even within 24 hours, maybe in a day.
Okay.
So that means we make them very, very happy, and also the quality is excellent.
Okay.
Because we have all the engineering supports, and also we have very strong, this is logistic, supply chains surrounding, the, for example, in Kaohsiung area. That really make us very competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Given the fact that we are now looking into the Chinese market, and we talk about the possible rivalry between shipbuilders from both sides, is there a possibility for the two sides to cooperate?
Well, we're talking about competition versus cooperation. If this year, there are 200 yacht manufacturers in China. Can you believe that?
Yes.
It's a very, very fast-growing, industry in China.
Yes.
But however, fortunately, they are Big Ten yachts coming from Taiwan.
Okay.
Because our people, our business people, they started that in China. And building, most of the big yachts are made by Taiwanese business people. Okay. Yeah. So that's a possible is very big competition.
Okay.
But China, they still building fewer number of yachts compared to us. They are number 10. Number 8.
Okay.
We are number 7 this year in the world.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
But of course they pick up very quickly.
And
they built smaller yachts. Okay. But I believe that our advantage basically is our quality, our craftsmanship, our workmanship, and customization.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a worry in the yacht industry in Taiwan that some of the experienced worker, maybe lured away by Chinese builders, for example, into mainland China, and we may lose that competitive edge?
Well, it already happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because as I mentioned that the 10 big yachts in China is basically come from Taiwan. Okay. And the Chinese, industry, the yacht industry is coming to Taiwan to recruit us.
Okay.
But that's a competition.
Of course.
But I think we have to maintain our edge, which is we have to do something different. As mentioned, that the niche, the niche focus, which is very important.
Okay.
But I think we can do that.
Yes.
For example, I think, the design, we're talking about architect.
Yes.
Okay, architect is artistic design, providing.
Yes. It's a piece of art.
A piece of art.
Yes.
It's a boutique piece of art, and this is our advantage. But this is why in our center we are promoting very hard
on
the design side, and we like to build up a design, push up the value.
Okay.
That will be different. We just make it different between Taiwan and China.
Okay, and Dr. Tsai, I'm going to ask you, something. Maybe you consider is a dumb question. Given the fact that we produce, at least 150 yachts this year, and we have been doing that for over 4 decades or even longer, what's the price range of yachts, made in Taiwan?
Right.
I understand that, you probably, going to tell me that there's no limitation to how expensive a yacht can be because a lot of them are custom made.
Right.
So if you want to gold plated bathroom or whatever, sure, you pay more.
Sure.
But what's the general range?
Right. I think the best way, I thought about that question there. Okay. Maybe the best way to answer that, I give you the price per linear foot.
Okay.
I think that's the best way to do that.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
Now, there are 2 categories of yachts. One, we're talking about luxurious mega yachts. We're probably talking about, $13,000 US per foot.
Oh, 13,000.
13,000
average.
Average.
Okay.
About $13,000, $14,000 per foot.
Okay.
For example, if we're talking about the 100 foot yacht, then we're talking about $1.4 million.
That's right.
Okay. Now, of course, for certain yachts, because the owner, they ask, they requested a lot of more expensive, more specialized, interior
materials,
designs and so forth. That could post up unlimited, the dollars.
Yes.
But then we go to the other side.
Okay.
For example, the majority of those yachts are for the common family use. Those are, we're talking about functional yachts. Basically, still we're talking about nice, decent leisure.
Yes, with all the equipment and design,
the expensive the equipment and so forth. That probably we're talking about 5,000, 3,000 to 5,000 per foot.
Oh, okay.
So that would be a difference there.
Okay. So if you want a 20-foot yacht for the family, then it's only about 100,000.
100,000.
So that's affordable.
So really, we're talking about $100,000 to maybe $100 million, or more.
For mega yachts.
Or mega yachts.
Yes.
Or sometimes super yachts.
All right.
Yeah.
We need to take another break on our program, and when we come back, we'll continue this very interesting conversation with Dr.蔡宗亮, who is currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. I'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back to our program here on the Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo. We will continue this conversation with Dr. Cai Zhongliang, who is currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. Dr. Cai, I'm going to ask you something that we talk about the potential of the Chinese market and also the possible rivalry and competition coming from Chinese shipbuilders. So what are some of the other things that you think you would make recommendations to our, yacht industry in Taiwan to make ourselves more competitive? For example, branding, is that something that we should consider?
Sure, branding is very important.
Okay.
I think the branding makes the value.
Yes.
And value makes the industry survive. And as a matter of fact, in Taiwan, I think that there are 3 brands, pretty famous, well known internationally, like Horizon.
Horizon, yes.
Then the Manifino, that's, and also Ocean Alexander. Those are pretty well known, in brands. There's another story because we're talking about Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton, the owner, the boss of that,
of course,
is Mr. Bernard Arnault. He bought a research vessel from Russia. He paid $30 million for that.
All right.
And then the Taiwan, the shipyard called Ching in Kaohsiung.
All right.
They got the job to basically
recreate
the yacht or change that into a super yacht. That's a 64-meter yacht. Another $30 million. It's very successful. It's very because the people know this Taiwan yacht. So that's why they come here.
Yes.
So the MIT, we call it MIT made in Taiwan as a branding.
It's a guarantee.
It's a guarantee.
Quality. Yes.
And we have to continue the route to make sure that our product continue that.
Yeah, to be recognized.
To be recognized.
Yes. But Dr. Tsai, it's a little ironic that Taiwan being an island surrounded by ocean, by water, that our market here for yacht is actually very small. What do you think the reason is? Is it because of government regulation, or was it because that just a lot of people not interested, in buying a yacht for for family purposes or for professional purposes?
Of course, the history. If we talk about historical perspective,
yes,
Taiwan, but for security purpose, Taiwan, the water lines are pretty much closed, not really open to the public use.
Yeah.
That, of course, that is one reason.
Okay.
And the other reason, the Asian people not like the Westerners. The Westerners are really very open to the sea.
Of course.
But we, if we take a boat, we got seasick. When people get seasick, they're not interested.
That's right.
So that means we have to start education to our young generation, starting from basically very young, elementary school.
Okay.
That can change that.
Okay. But hopefully over time.
Sure, but our government is already, understand that. They recognize the importance of this. They already started, put a lot of resources into that.
Yes.
Into the education, and also put a lot of conferences and so forth.
Exactly.
And we recognize that importance.
And that's why also the Ministry of Economic Affairs asked you to come back all the way from the United States to head up this, very important center.
Well, I just think it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, it is a great opportunity for Taiwan as well. And Dr. Tsai, we also know that government is about ready to implement the so-called luxury tax.
Right.
And yacht is included as well as private jets. And what do you think the impact of the proposed luxury tax is going to be on the Taiwan yacht industry?
Right, the luxury tax was passed by legislatures in Taiwan.
Yes.
I think it's last year in October. But I think the purpose of that really is targeted at the real estate in Taiwan.
Short term.
Short term. But I don't really think it will affect anything on the yacht. The reasons for that. I believe they're talking about anything beyond like $100,000 US. Yes. You're gonna pay a 10% sort of luxury tax. But in Taiwan, there's no leisure industry really here. Okay. Nobody really buy the yachts, that big. We're talking about 20 foot or below or smaller. That might be the case. Okay. But those cases may not go beyond, $30,000. I mean, sorry, $100,000.
That's right.
That range. So I believe that this luxury tax, I don't really think it affects in terms of getting the tax, the tax revenue from the yacht industry. No. But on the other hand, you certainly do have effect for the people come to Taiwan to buy it. Okay. But I don't know, Yeah, that will really let people think twice. Maybe it's not helpful, but I don't think it will affect in the short term.
All right. Given the fact that we understand that Dr. Tsai, the yacht industry also needs to meet the world trends of being more energy efficient.
Right.
What are some of the technologies that's being implemented in the industry to make our yacht more effective in terms of energy use?
Right. This is one of the areas which our center has been really working very hard. Good. And supported by the ministry. Okay. We're talking about green yachts. Okay. And also the energy saving. The current yachts we use, for example, diesel engines. Diesel engine is noisy, yes, dirty, yes, and the water pollute, Of course. But the people talk about yachts, they want quietness, they want clean, they don't really like, that kind of things. Yeah. So this is why we're talking about, the hybrid, for example, hybrid, electrical motor powered, the vessels, and we're talking about solar energy as a supplementary type of energy resources for the yachts. And this is one direction we're working on that. Okay. And this is we try to make a niche, focus products for us. I think there will be a great market in the future. Okay. So
what are some of the other technologies that we are also developing, particularly at your center, that will make our yacht industry more competitive?
Okay. From an engineering point of view, our center is well equipped. Yes. It's very capable of providing the engineering services. For example, we're talking about yachts. When we design the yachts, we try to minimize the water resistance. That can improve, the fuel consumptions or energy consumptions. Okay. And now we have all the techniques. For example, we can simulate all this, in the computer. Okay. So we can calculate, all this resistance. So that's a very big advantage. Of course. Okay. This is one area. The other area we're talking about comfort engineering. As you mentioned, that the yachts has to be comfort. But in the ocean, in the open ocean, the rolls and the pitch, but then people get car sick. But if we can stabilize the yacht, or we can have a separate cabin, and that would help. And those are the new technologies we are working on. Hopefully, we can really make all yachts unique, which is unique from the other the yachts made by other countries. Yes. And then we can grab that kind of market. So.
And Dr. Tsai, you also mentioned briefly earlier that we are now losing some of the craftsmen, to places like China. But how about the younger generations? Are they more younger people interested in the yacht industry, in the line of work related to shipbuilding?
I believe so. For
Okay.
example, if you go to some of the colleges, you will see that the more colleges get into marine leisure.
Okay.
Why I keep saying that marine leisure?
Okay.
Marine leisure industry is very important.
Indeed.
Think about the yachts. The yacht, the produce the value from the yacht manufacturing is only the whole world. It's about $40 billion. That's it. But however, the associated industry, associated business activities, it runs $1.2 trillion, which is 20 times.
Of course.
So that means it's not yacht itself. But however, in Taiwan, what happened here is we do not have like a marine leisure industry.
Okay.
In activities.
No.
So this is what we need, really, establish that kind of thing. Fortunately, the universities, colleges in Taiwan,
Okay.
a lot of the departments already have that kind of program.
Of course. And for these graduates from the departments, what are some of the career options that they will have?
Well, one is go to the, we're talking about the marine leisure industry. One very important component is the resort. Okay, is the hotel.
Of course.
It's the entertainment, the industries. Then that itself, the management of that itself is important. Then also we're talking about other associate logistic areas. We're talking about boutique shops. We're talking about restaurants. We're talking about land transportations. In addition to that, what about pollution? Because what more people have fun in the ocean, and it generates pollution.
Of course.
How are we going to avoid or try to avoid this pollution? Environmental protection. Those are issues I think we need to think about it.
Okay.
Then the energy consumption, conserve the energy, green energy, and all these things I think is a subject on the table which we are talking about.
Finally, we have about 30 seconds left for this part of the program. Dr. Tsai, I know you still teach here in Taiwan. And would you think that younger generation will share the same kind of enthusiasm that you have regarding the industry and also regarding the potential that the industry offers?
Well, this is our mission.
Yes.
That's why we always want to get together with the young generation.
Of course.
If the young generation is not stimulated by our encouragement, it's our fault. We have to work harder.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a final break on our program today, and when we come back, we will continue our conversation with Dr. Tsai Chon-Liang, who is currently the chairman of United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. I'll see you in just a bit. Welcome back to the final part of today's program here on Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Ray Guo. We will continue our conversation with Dr. Tsai Chon-Liang, who is currently the chairman of the United Ship Design and Development Center here in Taiwan. Dr. Tsai, we mentioned earlier about the kinds of challenges that our industry faces. We'll also talk about the irony that Taiwan being an island surrounded by oceans, there isn't the yacht consumption market in Taiwan, and given the fact that there isn't a lot of choices for ocean-related activities or leisurely activities in Taiwan, how would you think that in the coming years, that with our government regulations becoming more relaxed, that our yacht industry can capitalize on this trend and try to make the industry in Taiwan itself a little more attractive?
Sure. I think the loosening up the coastlines will help.
Yes.
Will help. As a matter of fact, the government really pay a great attention in these areas.
Yes.
They try to open up all the internal lake and also the rivers. Then talking about marinas on the coast. And one example, there is a project sponsored by Kaohsiung government. It's called the Southern Star Project. So they already allocated certain areas in the Darling area in Kaohsiung. It's designated the yacht manufacture clusters.
Okay.
So that kind of policy would help.
Okay.
Would help. But I think, in terms of really develop, the domestic leisure marine activities, it takes time. Right. I think that's generation, because we need to start from young people and make sure they're not afraid of water, and they like water, they go to the yacht and so forth. It takes a little bit of time. Okay. But I still believe that we cannot ignore the China market. The reason for that, in China, the coastlines is about 18,000 kilometers.
Of course.
Okay, and they are 6,500, islands in the water space. Okay. And they are like 25,000 lakes. So there is a great potential for the marine leisure. So there's a great market for future market for Taiwan, and we need grab it. But then, of course, the competition from their industry. Local, yes. I believe that the way, is to, for example, if Mother Nature cannot go against that, join them. Okay. Right. So let them go there. We grab your market. But the important things here is technology, Taiwan, but then market, China.
Of course.
But we have to keep our technology here, Taiwan.
Okay. So one of the things that's very important is that we're, ongoing negotiation with China after the signing of ECFA, one of which is on the protection of intellectual property rights. How would you think that, if, in the foreseeable future that we get the agreement signed on the intellectual rights, protection, how would you think that our, industry would be more, encouraged and also feel better prepared and protected to go into the Chinese market, maybe set up factories there and then produce the yacht and for domestic Chinese consumption? Would that be possible?
Well, it's possible. It probably take a little bit of time. I know that the Chinese government pay a lot of great attention to that. Right. But still, you can see like we call it 山寨版. Okay. Yes, that copy, but they have a very, very strong capability to copy almost everything. Exactly. I give you an example. I remember that one time we have domestic made motorcycles. They set up a plant in China, but very soon they consider all the same kind of motorcycle running in the street, but not manufactured by Taiwan company. No. Okay. But the yachts, again, I think it will happen similarly. Okay. But I think the important thing is we have to keep our edge and continue bring up the edge, Of course. So that's one way to do that.
Okay. And another issue that Dr. Tsai, you mentioned earlier is that we need to educate the younger generations about the, attraction of the, the industry. Not so much just, being a part of it, but also the fact that being a participant in some of the, ocean leisurely activities as well. How would you recommend to the government in terms of educating a new generation about the attraction of the leisurely marine activities?
Okay, as a matter of fact, the government already pay attention to that. Last year, I think this called Ching and has sponsored a forum talking about how to develop the domestic marine leisure industries. Yes. And the minister, 工业局, the Bureau of Industry Bureau, also is very interested to help in that regard. But I think we're doing that. And also the education, the Ministry of Education in Taiwan, they also started, a lot of programs encouraging the students come to participate in those activities. For example, we're talking about a design competition, design contest. Let people start doing their design of the yacht, for example. Then we have a contest. Then they will bring up the interest. Yes. And there's another recently. I think there's another station. They are promoting so-called the green ship. They use so-called those plastic bottles. They will make a ship out of that. Okay. And then, of course, to promoting the basically environmental protection concept using the boats.
Okay. And Dr. Tsai, we know that you spent many years teaching and working in the United States. What are some of the experiences based on your personal observations that we can learn from the U.S. in terms of development of our own domestic, marine leisure activities and industry?
All right. Well, this is a very big question for me, and I don't know I'm qualified to answer that.
Well, you certainly are, if anybody else.
I just like to put into one sentence. Basically, is in the United States, each one has a special area. We call it specialize in one area. Now, a field may contain multiple areas. But then each professor basically do research and teaching. We're very focused in a certain area to be really expert.
Of course.
But in Taiwan, it seems like that's very diversified. So that means, you don't really know who's the expert or not. And especially, the professors, they could be the expert in any areas and make the comments. I think this might be one area which, that's why I observed. Okay. Now, there's another thing. I think, the Taiwanese students, they are basically they work very hard, and I have a very good experience when we compare our students compared to the Ohio State, for example. Those are the state-run universities, and our students, work harder than some kind of state university. Of course, like Berkeley, MIT, they probably is different category. But I'm pretty happy with the student here and the encouragement.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And given the fact that we are looking at the yacht industry as something, at one time as a sunset industry for Taiwan, probably not going to, improve Taiwan's international image too much. But based on, the knowledge, that information that you gave us today, this is actually one of the emerging industries, especially our relations with China, especially in the economic area, are improving, and then we are likely to see more penetration of our yacht industry into the Chinese domestic market. Then, what would be, your recommendation, to people who are thinking of, getting into the industry, getting into the, the line of, related activities and industries? What would be your recommendation at this point?
Well, my recommendation is to make our industry strong.
Okay.
You got industry, then you got the employment job opportunities.
Of course.
Then we will affect the students. And the students, because they can see the future, they know where to go to work. Okay. So then they will
have more traction.
More attractions.
Yes.
At this moment, most of our universities have scrapped, like so-called the ocean engineer or naval architecture, because like in the past, when our industry really goes down, went down, and not really too many job opportunities. Yes, so even the departments has changed the name to make it a system engineering, make it more broad, more diversified. Okay. But I think my thinking is to somehow to find out a way to make our industry bigger, to make the pie bigger. Okay, I think there are ways to do that. Okay, and we're really proposing that. I put together a certain couple plans already, plans already. We have to make the pie bigger. Okay. Then we have to let our industry, our shipbuilding industries, to be able to flourish, as you mentioned, flourishing. Okay. Then they will lead to the flourishing the other industries, or
serve as a stimulus.
As stimulus, and also then go back to universities. Okay. It's a chain effect.
Of course. Yeah. Finally, we have about 30 seconds left. Dr. Tsai, what will be the goals under your leadership at the United Ship Design and Development Center for this year, 2011?
Well, I want to make a pie bigger for the industry. All right. And I want to make sure that all the shipbuilding industries be able to really contribute to the economy in Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my goal.
Certainly be a bigger part of the total economy in Taiwan.
Yes.
Certainly, thank you very much, Dr. Tsai, for being on the program today. We want to wish you all the success, in your personal and professional endeavors in the future.
Well, thank you very much.
I certainly enjoyed it. Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed today's program as much as I did. I'll see you next time on Macroview Television. Thank you.